Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a first impressions video of this knife. This is the Zero Tolerance 0055, new for 2017. It is a collaboration with Gustavo Cecchini, who is a very, very sought after designer. A couple things I'd like to hear in the comments down below. First, I'd love to hear who you'd like to see ZT work with in the future. They tend to do a great job with their collaborations, so it's always exciting to see who they're working with. And I'd love to know who, if you could like call them up and say, please do a collaboration with this designer, who would you pick? Okay, the other thing I want to hear from you is any questions that you have about this knife that this is a first impression. So feel free down below to say, hey Kevin, what about this or what about that? Because there's gonna be a lot of stuff that I'm not gonna cover here that you'll have to wait for the full review to see. By the way, thinking of the full review, don't forget to like and subscribe and stay tuned for that full review. That'll probably be coming in about a month or so. That tends to be about my average time frame. Okay, by the way, let's get back to this particular knife, which is based on Gustavo's Airborn design, again, which is a very popular knife. The main thing I think about this knife, and the reason it's so exciting, and the reason that I just had to try one, is because GTC knives are really, really expensive, really hard to get a hold of, and so to have something of ZT level quality that is designed by GTC or designed by Gus Cecchini, that's something that's worth checking out. The other thing, of course, you gotta say curiosity killed the cat, and I really wanted to check out that what do they call it? SLT, spring-loaded tab. By the way, I do dislike calling things just an acronym of whatever they actually are. That's kind of annoying, but anyway, let's get into the features of this guy, size and weight, and then sort of my little bit of discussion about it as far as the first impressions goes. So in terms of features, we have a modified Wharncliffe blade shape, which I do really like, compound grind on this S35 VM blade, and it is stone washed, okay? Now, as we move down here, we've got this milled handle, which is really, really nicely done. There's a lot of detail here. Spring clip, which does function really nicely. Floating aluminum backspacer, and that is anodized very bright blue, which does really pop. It looks really nice. And of course, the big feature, this is going to be on bearings, but the big feature is going to be that spring-loaded tab, which does hide the flipper tab very well when the knife is open, and even hides it pretty well when the knife is closed, just that little piece until you kind of flick it out this way. Okay, so those are sort of the main standout features to me. Oh yeah, one more thing that I will call a feature, because we don't always see it from ZT, this is nicely milled out internally to cut down on the weight, and I do really, really appreciate that. By the way, I also really like the price point, $220 on this, so this is at the lower end of the ZT pricing spectrum, and that's really appreciated as well. So let's go ahead and give you a size and weight, and then I'll speak to sort of my thoughts on the knife. Let's see here. So if I turn this way so you can see it, we've got 8 3/4 inches on the overall length. There, I'll get that, see if I can do it a little bit better. There we go, so 8 3/4. Blade length here is solidly 3 3/4, and the handle length is going to be 5 inches, pretty well right on 5 inches. Okay, so overall, you've got an 8 3/4 inch knife with a 5-inch handle and a 3 3/4 inch blade. What about size? Let's grab this, and it is in ounces already. So look at that, 4.999, okay, 4.999 ounces. So basically this is 5 ounces, which is quite acceptable for a full titanium frame lock at 8 3/4 inches. No complaints whatsoever about that. Let's get this guy out of the way. And so now that we've got the specs out of the way, let me speak a little bit to a couple of things that stand out to me as, wishes. If I could, call up ZT, like I said at the beginning of the video, and say there's a couple little tweaks that I'd like to see here. The biggest one by far would be a satin blade. Okay, I would love, stonewash on the flats is fine, but I would really have liked to see a satin finish on those grinds. A compound grind like this would look absolutely amazing in satin, and I really, really wish it had been done that way. So that's probably my biggest single issue with this. The other two things are probably a little less significant. One, the spring clip is a little plain for this knife. You've got all this detail, you've got the SLT system here, you've got a lot of stuff going on, and then a very plain ordinary clip. Would have been nice to see some kind of milled clip there, or just something interesting happening. So this is a knife where I would almost say an aftermarket clip might be a viable option, okay? The other thing is the backspacer. I love the way this backspacer looks. I'm not complaining about that. Like, aesthetically, I have no issue with it whatsoever. What I do have an issue with is I wish that this were titanium blue anodized, because then if I were to want to, you know, anodize the pocket clip or put on a milled titanium clip, I'd be like, yeah, let's do one anodized blue, except the blue anodes are not going to match and it's going to look kind of silly. So because of that, I would probably go a different direction with that. The other thing they could have done to sort of get around that is go with, you know, a carbon fiber backspacer or something else that would be equally nice and be an equally cool upgrade to the knife, but allow things to be a little more, I don't know, consistent maybe. Let's see. I think that those are all the main things that stand out. I will say this, the flipper tab, where it comes out by the time it's down is a little low for me. It's nice to see them a little bit higher up. So the geometry on the flipper tab, although it works, could actually be just a little bit better. So those are a couple little nitpicks that I have sort of right off the bat, and none of them are the end of the world. I think this is still a really nice knife, and in fact, for the price point, I do understand why some of those decisions were made, okay? And I'm happier at $220 than I would have been at $250 or $280, okay? So let's point that out as well, that a lot of those decisions include a cost factor. So overall, guys, I think this is a really, really cool knife, especially because it's a GTC design, okay? And they're really expensive, really hard to get a hold of. And based on that alone, I think this was a knife that you know, people like me who are really interested, who are, you know, YouTubers, really need to get a hold of, check out, and talk about a little. And if you're a big GTC fan as well, and just think to yourself, like I do, like I'm never going to own one of his customs, this I think offers a pretty good option, okay? Maybe not perfect, there are a couple little misses here, but overall it's pretty darn well done, okay? I really don't have any major issue, and certainly, now it's only been a few days, but I certainly don't have any mechanical issues with it. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe, especially so you can see the full review of this guy coming up in a little while, and we will talk to you soon.